everyone. Welcome to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams, and we have a very special guest here today, a former LSU lineman, also played in the NFL, Carl Wilson, with me today. Hey, Carl, how you doing?
All right, Kate, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, so lots of things going on right now in the sports world. The most recent being the national championship.
That's right.
Played last night. Nick Saban finally got it handed to him.
That's it.
Two wonderful coaches between Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney. But man, I really thought that, first of all, I did not think Alabama was going to lose. I was one of the people who picked Bama. I 100%, I said to myself, I was like, I think Bama's got this one in the bag. But I knew that with Clemson, it was going to be a challenge. It wasn't just, you know, they were going to get the win right off. But so, basically, just your first initial reaction to last night's game.
I loved it because I'm not an Alabama fan. I'm a Nick Saban fan, but not an Alabama fan. And I enjoyed the game because I told a lot of people that I felt like Clemson had a chance to win the game because of the quarterback. Because that Trevor Lawrence is a first-round draft pick when he does come on. He may be the first pick of the draft. He's an outstanding player, and that defense from Clemson is great, especially the defensive line. And that's what made me think that they had a chance to win that game.
I mean, it really didn't seem like, talking about defense, that Alabama's defense really showed up that much last night. What issues did you see on the defensive end of Alabama?
Well, the problem I believe that Alabama had, and I'm sure a lot of other schools are going to look at it, they were changing their plays at the line of scrimmage and also switching formations. And that gave their linebackers a little, they were confused a little bit. I remember Dylan Moses one time, it was a 3rd and 7 play, and he was motioning some to other players because they were just out of position, and they ended up getting a 3rd and 7. So Clemson did really well in disguising their offense and just confusing Alabama on defense.
You know, and I agree with that. Alabama looked a little confused. Even Nick Saban during the whole game, which is really rare for Bama. You don't ever see that. Nick Saban usually is always very poised. He always knows, I feel like, what to expect, what's coming next. But also, do you think that Alabama's strength of schedule this year hurt them in any way leading up to this game?
Well, I would tend to agree with that. Alabama every year has a really vanilla schedule. I thought this year with LSU's schedule, I think they have a really good schedule. They play Vanderbilt instead of Georgia. And I was thinking, well, we're going to have a really good schedule similar to Alabama. But then I looked at Alabama's schedule for next year. It's worse than ours as far as strength of schedule. So, yeah, I think that could have played a part in that loss last night. But Nick Saban, if you knew he felt like he was in trouble when he faked that field goal when they were only down 21-16. That was very telling because if he would have just kicked the field goal, which their field goal kicker is not very good, but at least try the field goal. And if you want to go for it on 4th down, go for it on 4th down. Put 2 in the game and run a play. But he knew he was in trouble when he tried to fake that field goal with a 21-16. They weren't that far behind, but I think he had a feeling that Clemson's athletes were just as good as his athletes, and he had to score a touchdown to try to keep up with Clemson.
I agree. When I saw that faked field goal, I was the same as you. I was like, wait, what? And we all kind of knew it was coming too. It wasn't, they didn't disguise that they were going to do the fake field goal very well. And so it was, and to see Nick Saban call a play like that, like you said, only down by really not that much at that point in the game.
Yes.
And where they were, it seemed really dumb. And I think even last night I heard him say he blamed it on himself.
Right.
The loss. Do you agree with blaming it on Nick Saban?
Well, the players they have to play the game, and they were coached well. I mean, Nick Saban is an outstanding coach. that particular play right there, you have to put it on the coach, as well as the holder on that field goal attempt. Because once he saw Clemson in base defense, he should have at least called that off and just gone and told his field goal kicker to kick the field goal, or just call a timeout, get Tua back on the field, and run a play that's a better percentage.
Look, I don't even know what was going on with that at all. It just seems like Nick Saban wasn't even himself last night almost.
Right.
He seemed intimidated in a way, and I haven't really ever seen him like that. Now, a lot of people are saying, is Clemson going to become the new dynasty? You know how Alabama's had this dynasty for so
yes.
long. Is Clemson
yes.
next? Look, Alabama and Clemson have met now for 4 years in a row in the 4-team playoff.
Right.
So is Clemson the next dynasty, how Alabama has been, or do you think that no one can ever really reach to where Alabama has got to?
You know, one thing, it starts out with recruiting. In Alabama, every year, year in and year out, they have the #1 recruiting class in the nation. Now, Clemson probably is in the top 5. They don't have the #1. But they get the athletes and they get them in their system and they coach them really well and prepare those guys really well. So I believe Clemson is going to be there, even though they don't have the Alabama name and can get #1 recruiting class to go to South Carolina. But they're doing really well.
What I like to say about Alabama in recruiting is Nick Saban doesn't actually have to go and recruit anybody. I feel
right.
like if you're Nick Saban, you're going places and you say, I want you, and I want you, and that's
right.
how he gets his players.
But you know the beauty of everything? Last night, Nick Saban got to feel how we feel when LSU plays Alabama and we see Louisiana guys playing against LSU. Well, he got to see an Alabama receiver beat him playing for Clemson, and that was great.
That was, you know, I was actually really happy that Alabama lost. I didn't know whether all day yesterday everybody was like, okay, who are you going for? Are you going for Alabama, Clemson? I was like, I don't think I'm going for either team just because I don't like either one of them. I hate the people who say, well, I'm going to go for Alabama because they're in the SEC.
No,
do you think is that a thing? How do you go for the team? Because it doesn't do us any favors
right.
that if Alabama wins another national championship just because
right.
they're in the SEC.
Right.
I'm not, but I didn't care. So.
Yeah. See, I was that way at one point. I wanted the SEC to win every game. But now that I've gotten a little bit older, I just get tired of, I guess I'm burnt out on the SEC. And I lived for 28 years on the West Coast. So I got a chance to see USC and UCLA and the Pac-12. And they do play football out there, believe it or not. But, but you know, I think, you know, as a country, they're getting tired of seeing the SEC win it all, and that's the thing.
Well, I mean, I get that. I'm sure, you know, the nation, everybody's like, man, the SEC's always winning it. Well, that wasn't the case this year, and it may not be every single year. Now, obviously, next year, we all hope, fingers crossed and everything, that LSU can make it to that level. And that's one of the reasons that I always don't want Alabama to win another national championship, because also, when they win more championships, that
keeps LSU out of it.
It keeps LSU out of it, but it also keeps some recruits out of it.
That's
Maybe
right.
recruits that are between LSU and Bama, and then they'll go visit Bama and go to the national championship parade and do all this type of stuff.
But I'm going to tell you right now, the reason why I went to LSU, now I really liked Texas when I was coming out. I was recruited by Texas, Oklahoma, USC, UCLA, but I got it down to Texas and LSU. And I really came close to going to Texas. And the reason why is, and I tell this story all the time, I get goosebumps. Texas was playing Alabama in the Cotton Bowl, and I was watching them. And CBS, at the end of the game, Texas ended up beating Alabama, and CBS went to a commercial. I get a phone call during the commercial. It was one of the Texas coaches in the locker room saying to me, you could be a part of this. I mean, what a way to recruit somebody. But I'll say one thing, Coach Stovall did an excellent job, and Coach Jenkins and Coach Nix, when they were here at LSU, the one thing they told me, says, look, Carl, we would love for you to stay in town and play for your state school. And, you know, if you are planning on living in Austin, Texas, well, yeah, go to Texas. But when you try to come back, and you may want to come back to Baton Rouge, no one's really going to know you because you went to Texas. So, and when you think about it, that's it. So these kids, they go into Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Well, guess what? You come back home to Baton Rouge, no one's not going to know you. They'll know you in Tuscaloosa. So how much do you like Tuscaloosa, Alabama? So, but the thing is, I tell everybody, if these kids from Louisiana would just stay in town and play for LSU, LSU would be Alabama.
Oh, I completely agree with that. And kind of going off of what you just said, when you are a local guy and then you play for LSU, people will love you forever in this city and in this state. I mean, they will always remember you, and you'll all. And I feel like it helps players too, even after their pro career. It's easier to get jobs. It's easier to do really anything because people will recognize your name and say, "Oh, I remember you when you played for LSU," and "Oh, well, we'd love to have you and come eat dinner with us," and you know, anything like that. And so it is important to be, you know, faithful to your city and state. And one guy who's done that this year for LSU is Devin White. I mean, I've never seen, and we were kind of talking about this earlier off air, but I've never seen a player quite like him who is just, it means so much to him to be able to play for LSU and to be able to play here in the state of Louisiana. And I think all he really wants to do is just really win a national championship for LSU and for the state. And I just think it's incredible to have a leader like that on LSU's team like that. I mean, what difference does it make having a guy like that? It's huge,
it makes a huge difference because, you know, people will follow his lead. He's really struggling with his decision right now because I believe he really loves, like you say, LSU. He loves being in college. He loves the fans. And he wants to be the best player that's ever played at LSU. And that's holding him from making that decision whether he wants to leave and go in the pros or stay at LSU. He's in a great position. If he stays here, that would be great for LSU because their team would be even more, it'd be better just having him there. If he goes, he's going to be a great pro. I like his position right now. I wish I had that position when I was coming out. But yeah, I'm sure he's lamenting over it right now, but he's going to make the decision what's best for him.
I agree. I mean, and we were also talking about this earlier. I remember I told you, I said, well, if I were him, I would probably maybe take the money and run. But I guess that sounds awful. But, you know, what if something happens? So if he decides to stay, well, what if he gets injured? Then he might ruin a whole professional career, possibly. Okay,
well, the one good thing about college nowadays, when they know you're going to be a first-round draft pick and you decide to stay in college, they give you like a Lloyd's of London insurance policy. And so his insurance policy could be up to $10 million. So if he gets hurt and he can't play anymore, they're going to write him a check for $10 million. It may not be as much as he would have made as a professional athlete, but I'll take $10 million.
Yeah. I'll take $10 million too. So, look, you know, I think whatever he does decide, it will be the best decision for himself, because at the end of the day, you do have to do what's best for yourself, and I think he'll be able to make that decision. But I know all of us LSU Tiger fans would love to see him stay. But if he doesn't stay, I think there are definitely some guys on the team that could step up in his position and be a part of what he's kind of created at LSU.
Yeah, one of my favorite players that has had an opportunity to play when Devin was down for a quarter against Alabama, and even when Jake Phillips went down, is Patrick Queen. I love him. He kind of reminds me of Deion Jones. Deion Jones didn't get a lot of publicity, or Duke Riley, but when they had their opportunity, they made the best of it, and those guys are in the pros right now. So I believe Patrick Queen, if he continues to improve like he improved this year, he's going to be a great player at LSU.
Yeah, Patrick Queen is great, and Devin has been such a great role model for Patrick as well. I remember when Devin was out because of that horrible targeting call that I'm not even going to talk about right now. But he really took time to coach Patrick up, make sure he was ready. And even, so this is interesting. So Patrick Queen tweeted out the other day that he said, well, I just heard Devin White say he was staying. So there's still hope. There's still hope. But if he does decide to go, which wouldn't be a terrible decision for him at all, and we all wish him the best, obviously, I do think that Patrick Queen could be a guy that could step up into that position. Okay, we do need to take a quick break really quick. We are here at Scoreboards. Look, guys, this is the place. You've got to come watch all the playoff games here. Playoffs are happening right now. This is football time. We've got our Saints in the playoffs. LSU just finished up with the Fiesta Bowl. We're going to touch on that when we come back. But look, come here at Scoreboards. The address is 10655 Coursey Boulevard. It's just right off of Coursey and Airline. They've got a ton of great tailgate food. They even have things that aren't tailgate food, like chicken Alfredo, but they've got burgers. They've got this wonderful sausage platter that I've had, and we're going to have to try it maybe later. They've got bisque soup for when it gets cold outside. Look, this is just a great place to come out here with your friends, and they've got all types of really neat sports memorabilia as well that you can check out that are all over the walls and stuff. So this is the place to be and to come watch all your sports games right here at Scoreboards. But we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I'll program the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays, and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Told you.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
All right, welcome back. I'm Kate Adams. This is Sports Update with Kate. I have Carl Wilson here with me, former LSU player, also former NFL player, former All-American at LSU. We've got a ton of recognitions. I'm not even going to go down the whole list, but I'm excited to have you here, Carl. And I would love for you to tell everyone kind of what you're up to these days.
Well, what I'm up to these days is since I got back in town, I got with Steve Snyder at 9 and Rohan Davey, and we do a show every year after the game. We do a post-game show. We call it Sports 9 Sports Extra. We come on at 10:30 right after the news, and we go for 30 minutes, and we just give a recap of the game. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, okay, I have a question. So since you're doing that, can you still go to the LSU game, or how does that work?
Now, I go to the home games, but I have to leave right before the fourth quarter starts.
So something's really exciting happening in the game.
I know.
You just got to go.
I have to go, and I'll just listen to it on the radio.
Well, I guess that's part of what doing broadcasting. Sometimes you got to be back in studio, and you can't always be right there on the field. But the field is a lot of fun to be on it. Now, does LSU, when you go to the home games, where do they put you? Do they let you come on the field and watch the game there? Or?
Well, I can go on the field before the game, and then I'll normally go in the press box, or if I have my wife with me, we'll just go and sit in the stands. I actually like sitting in the stands better because I go in the press box. If LSU does something really, really great, I can't cheer.
Oh, yeah. I know. That's the word. Well, I sit in the press box as well, and I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, oh, you know, just like so excited.
I know.
But you can't, because they say they've got a big sign on the wall in the press box that says no cheering, or no yelling and no cheering.
No cheering.
Is what it says.
And then I remember the first year that I did go up there, and I just couldn't help myself. And I remember a few times I did something, I got these stares from people. but hey, you know, that's how it is. I'm true purple and gold.
Oh yeah, of course. Bleed purple and gold all the way through, right?
That's right.
Hey, that's the best way to be. And look, it is funny because I'm actually from the state of Alabama, and so people all the time are like, "You're a Crimson Tide fan." I say, no, I'm not. You know, I'm an LSU fan, so I totally agree with bleeding the purple and gold and all of that. All right, before we talk about purple and gold, I want to go back to my home state, Alabama, and I want to talk. I just want to do a little comparison of the quarterbacks from last night's game. Now, to me, it was crazy that all year Tua has been so on point. I think that, and I'll have to double check the stat, but I want to say that he only had 4 interceptions in the regular season before last night's game. He had 2 interceptions in last night's game, which was critical. I mean, Clemson definitely took advantage of those turnovers and got scores off of them. I mean, hold on.
You want to know what happened?
I want to know what happened. I want to know
I'll tell you what happened.
Why that happened.
I'll tell you why it happened. Clemson's defense really confused him, especially on the back end. They were showing him zone, and they'll turn into man, or they'll do opposite. So Tua really had problems reading the defense before the snap of the ball. I mean, you could see sometimes Clemson's defenders would get up into the line like they were going to blitz. Tua's making adjustments like that, and then once the ball was snapped, they would fall back. So Clemson did a great job confusing Tua last night, and on that one interception, he threw, not the one that went for the pick 6, the other interception, the safety actually fooled him. The safety, in his mind, shouldn't even been there. And if the safety was there, that would have been a touchdown. But the safety went over and made that interception. So what happened to Tua last night is they game planned him and they confused him. And that's what, like I said, Clemson gave everyone a blueprint of how to beat Alabama.
Well, so it seems like they must have been looking at some tapes or something of Bama and saw all the little things, those little nuances, and did everything right. And I saw that safety too, because Tua, I felt like threw that pass before he even really read the whole play.
Right.
I think that he should have held on to the ball a little bit longer before he threw that, and then he would have seen that guy come around. But it was just weird seeing a Heisman finalist. Not that he still had an okay game.
Yes, he did.
And he's been incredible all season, and he's going to be great.
He's going to be a great player, yes.
But it was interesting in a game like that. Also, he's already played in a national championship. To have the freshman quarterback at Clemson. I mean, show up and look, the true freshman. And look, that guy. You know, you want to know who he reminds me of? Have you've seen Remember the Titans, I'm assuming, right?
That's Sunshine.
Sunshine.
That's Sunshine.
Sunshine. Like, it reminds me of Sunshine from Remember the Titans, but man, he is so incredible.
Yeah, he's good. Trevor Lawrence, he's been playing quarterback for a long time. They even mentioned it on TV last night that he was playing on a varsity team. He's playing in the highest conference in high school, starting quarterback at 14 years old. And then going to those camps and participating in the camps, that nowadays these guys that are coming out playing quarterback out of high school, a lot of them are prepared to make that next step and take over a team. And Dabo Swinney did a great job. He made a tough decision when he made that change in the season by getting rid of the quarterback that got him to the playoffs one year, and saying, well, I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence, the true freshman. Now that made a statement, but it turned out great for him. And Trevor Lawrence has an excellent career ahead of him. He just has to continue to do what he's done, and sky's the limit for him.
I mean, the sky is definitely the limit. Everybody's already saying, they're like, all right, when is this guy eligible for the draft? Like, for the NFL draft? Like, he needs to go right now. Because I've never seen a young player like him just exude confidence. And it was interesting, when you were watching both of the teams walk out of the tunnel, Tua was very hyped up and everything before the game even started. Now, Trevor was very calm, cool, and collected, right? And they had two very different approaches, you know, coming into the game. I don't know if that played a part or whatnot, but it was very interesting to see a young guy like that be able to exude confidence the way he did.
That's right.
And not, you know, let the little things rattle him, to stay calm in the game, even in stressful situations. I mean, he's incredible. Last night he had 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yes.
A true freshman.
A true freshman.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
But look, Dabo Swinney did an incredible job last night. One of the messages he gave his team, even when they were up by, I think, 2 touchdowns or something at that point, he looked at his team and he said, look, y'all need to treat this game like it's 0-0.
Yes.
We haven't won anything yet. And throughout the whole 4 quarters, all 60 minutes, you cannot let Bama get to you. And I think that was one of the best messages that he did give to the team.
And I was thinking the same thing. I said, man, I wish I had a phone that I can call down in the locker room and say those very words. Because, I mean, it's a 60-minute game. It's not a 30-minute game. It's 60 minutes. You go in the locker room, you up by 15. Actually, it's 0-0. You just won that half. But the half that counts is the 3rd and 4th. And at the end of the game, that's the one that counts. That decides whether you're going to be a champion winning those games or not. So that was great what he told his team at halftime.
Look, great coaching by Dabo Swinney. Wasn't the best game for Nick Saban, which I never knew those words would even come out of my mouth. But I'm happy for Clemson. I'm not a Clemson fan or anything, but it was nice to see Alabama get it handed to them. So
that's right.
We have talked a whole lot about Alabama and Clemson. It was kind of the big highlight of this week. That's kind of why I wanted to touch on it. But now I've got to bring it back to my LSU Tigers. LSU, 10 wins for this season. They have not got that in several years. Excuse me, I'm kind of going over a cold. But what does it mean to be able to have a great season like that? 10-3 for the season. I mean, a lot of people didn't even think they were going to be 6-6.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I was one of the people that felt like they weren't going to have a good year this year. But Coach O did something that I really liked. He went out and he got Joe Burrow. He recruited Joe Burrow to come here. And it's just seeing Joe Burrow on film at Ohio State and the experiences that he had at Ohio State, even though he wasn't the starting quarterback, was invaluable to LSU. And I just felt like LSU was going to have a good year because of Joe Burrow. And Joe actually took a lot of heat in the beginning because they were saying his completion percentage was low. And the reason his completion percentage was low, he really only worked with the first team for 1 week because they were still having this quarterback battle, which that didn't make any sense to me. I would have made it a starter quarterback day 1, but they allowed the guys, they respected the guys that were there, and they wanted to give them an opportunity to compete for that starting job. So Joe went through the season. You could see that he was getting better. Now, is he where he wants to be? I'm pretty sure he's not where he wants to be. Me personally, I would love for him to get rid of the ball a lot quicker. He holds on to the ball at times and then he takes sacks. He had 33 sacks this year. And I would say probably over half of those sacks might have been his fault. Even though we had the offensive line issues and all the people getting hurt, but he's going to continue to get better. I'm excited for next year. You saw what he could do against when he played against Texas A&M. He had an outstanding game against them, and then he went up against UCF, even though UCF to me is a bunch of height team. Shouldn't have even been in that game, but he did play well in that game, and he's going to go through a spring with the team. Plus, he's going to have the off season to work with his receivers, and that's going to mean a lot. And then he has 2 running backs coming in that's going to help him out also. So LSU has a great opportunity to have a special season next year.
Look, I totally agree. And something that's going to be on LSU's side next year is, well, depending on what happens for players declaring for the NFL draft and that, they're going to have a lot of veteran players on their team on both sides of the ball. But I want to get back to Joe Burrow really quick. Actually, in the Fiesta Bowl, he had one of the greatest games, I think, of his whole season. He was 21 for 34 for 394 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yes.
It was. What I like about Joe Burrow is his toughness.
Yes.
He doesn't mind. He had 33 sacks. Well, he doesn't mind getting sacked. It seems like. I mean, he'll take the hit.
He'll take the hit.
And he won't cry about it. But like you said, he needs to release the ball a little bit quicker. But LSU, number 6 right now in all the early AP polls that came out now. And that was just one of them I looked at. I think that ESPN put LSU at number 10.
Yes. Yeah, I don't like it.
To me, it's really too early to be coming out with these rankings. Some had Clemson at number 1. Some didn't have Clemson at number 1. I think that the way that a lot of these people are basing off the polls, okay, what's the talent that they are going to have next year? We don't completely know because we've still got another signing period in the spring that's coming up. And so you can't completely say. Now, LSU did sign 21 guys in this early signing period, which I think is really incredible. One thing that I do believe that Coach O does well at is recruiting.
Yes.
And would you agree with that?
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. He really displays the love for Louisiana as well as LSU, and that's what I really like about Coach O. He does a great job.
Thank you. So we have Katie here at Scoreboard. She just brought us some crawfish Alfredo. Is that right?
Oh wow,
she's bringing us more food. She's bringing us some more food. All right, hold everybody. Katie's really hooking us up right now.
Oh yeah. Oh man,
so we've
that's
got
the bread
some bread pudding
that
and we've got crawfish.
About.
Thank you so much, Katie, for bringing this up to us.
Katie.
We're probably going to chow down on this here in just a second. Look, this looks great. This is why I told you that you got to come to Scoreboards because they've got all types of great food. And this bread pudding, it's got, I think, some like little praline. Is it praline or praline? See, I'm not originally from Louisiana.
You know what? I'm going to have to try some of this bread pudding.
We're doing a taste test real quick.
Very good.
Very good. No words. Look, guys, we're going to chow down on some of this. We're going to take a quick break. Like I said, we are here at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, right off Coursey and Airline. Super easy to get to, very convenient, right off the interstate. You got to come here. This is the place to go to watch your sports games. They've got it all. They have a TV in every corner. It's great. So come out here. Come see us. Come watch my show, Sports Update with Kate, every Tuesday. Look, we're going to take a quick break, but we will be right back. And when we do, we'll talk some Saints, some NFL playoffs. We've got all of it for you. We'll be right back.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Told you.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I'll program the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Update with Kate. I am Kate Adams, your host, and we've got Carl Wilson, former LSU player, former NFL player, also co-host of 9 Sports Extra. That's on Saturday nights after LSU plays on WAFB Channel 9. He co-hosts that show with Rohan Davey and Steve Schneider. It's a great show, so everybody go check it out during LSU football season. They'll have all the up-to-date information on that game, on what's to come for LSU, so it's a really great spot to watch, and look, great people too. So y'all gotta go check that out. Also, we are here at Scoreboards. We were just stuffing our face actually during the break. We were trying to make sure that we didn't have any food in our face and our teeth, you know, before we came back, but we were good, y'all. Look, crawfish Alfredo, very, very good. This bread pudding, incredible.
Bread pudding, outstanding.
Outstanding, outstanding, incredible, and just all the great words to describe it. Sometimes you can't even describe it because it's so good, you just don't have any words. So you definitely got to come out here and try some of this really good food. Okay, I know we were talking about LSU and the Fiesta Bowl. We sort of touched on Devin White. Now, Greedy Williams is already declared for the draft.
Right.
There's a few other players who haven't declared yet. Monday is the day that they've got to declare. Christian Fulton, he's been injured. I think Christian Fulton's going to come back next season. But what about Rashard Lawrence? What do you think? Where do you think he stands as far as declaring for the draft?
Well, I think another year would help him out. But like I was telling someone today, I said it just all depends on the player's situation in his personal life, whether he'll stay at LSU or go and pursue an income. So he would do himself better if he would stay another year and he can get drafted a little bit higher. But it's just up to him.
I can imagine that is tough, trying to make that decision. You know, it's a life-changing decision.
Right.
And I can't imagine the amount of pressure those guys are in. You know, do I declare? Do I stay? Sometimes you do want to stay and be able to have that that college experience and everything. You've already got some spoons for us. I think we're gonna grab those for our bread pudding.
Thank you.
So we can chow down some more. Because trust me, you guys do want to come try this. All right. I know I just brought up LSU, but I do want to switch gears because we've only got about 25 minutes left or something. So
The playoffs.
I want to talk about the NFL playoffs because that is what's hot right now. First off, let's start, and I don't know if you said you were able to watch this game or not, but the Eagles and the Bears played. Now the Bears have struggled so hard, you know, throughout for the past several years, and finally this season they make it to the playoffs. It's a close game the whole entire time.
Yes.
It comes down to the final seconds, and their kicker, Cody Parkey, who's already missed 10 field goals in the regular season, goes out there. They're all waiting. Eagles still have one timeout left. They ice him. And he got iced for a good minute. You know, he was sitting there in his thoughts. So he made the field goal.
He made it,
while, like right before, because Doug Peterson, you know, I saw him call the timeout. It was right when he kicked the ball. Then he goes back. He's in his thoughts forever. Kicks it again. Hits the side of the post. Doink. Then hits the bottom. I mean, I felt so incredibly bad for Cody Parkey. I mean, I know it's not easy being a kicker, but I mean, then you can also say, well, that's their job. He's a kicker. He should make it every time. I mean, what are your thoughts on that whole entire scenario?
Well, it did work out a little bit for him because the video showed that one of the Eagles players kind of tipped the ball. So that made him feel a little bit better, I guess. I don't know. But the thing is, the Eagles played an outstanding game. Chicago all year have been playing great, especially on defense. They've had a good defense, #1 defense in the NFL. And actually, Khalil Mack, him coming over from the Raiders really helped him out, and his leadership showed on that. So the Eagles. Going into Chicago, that was huge, a huge win for them, and that's why I'm telling everyone that that 41-7 beatdown that the Saints gave the Eagles, that's not gonna be like this. It's gonna be a different game. Yeah, so we're just, what the Saints have to do is they're gonna have to meet the Eagles with the same intensity that the Eagles are gonna come into that game, because they got embarrassed in the Superdome on week 11. And they're gonna try to come in and they're gonna be motivated to play better. They were missing about 6 players in that game. Now they're gonna have Nick Foles, who won the Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl MVP of last year. He's gonna be playing. Darren Sproles, he's coming back to New Orleans. So they're definitely gonna be challenged. New Orleans, good thing they are playing at home. They're going to have that home field advantage. The home crowd is going to be behind them. They're going to be fired up. I think that may carry them over in this game, but it's not going to be easy. They better come to play, because Philadelphia is going to be fired up. I was reading some newspaper articles just the other day, in the Philadelphia newspaper, and those guys are saying we owe the Saints something. This is a revenge game because they made us look really, really bad. So that's what the Saints have to look forward to.
No, I mean, I agree, and I'm glad that I just let you talk for so long, because the viewers that are home aren't going to understand, but I am battling a small cold over here, but I'll be okay. But so, I agree. So, we've got Darren Sproles coming back.
Right.
Home field advantage, like you said, I think is extremely beneficial for the Saints. I was reading something too, and that I feel like there's no place. And look, you played in the NFL. Did you play against the Saints in the Dome ever?
Yes, I did.
So what's that, as a player coming into the Dome? What is that environment like?
It's like Mardi Gras, basically. I mean, the fans are really excited. They're very colorful. They come in dressed up, and they make a lot of noise. So, like I said, Philadelphia is going to be challenged with that atmosphere. So we'll see what happens. Like I say, I believe this is going to be one of the better games, playoff games, this weekend coming up, other than I would say the Kansas City Chiefs and the Indianapolis Colts game. That's going to be incredible.
That game is going to be a good matchup, and we're going to get to that game in just one second. Yeah. I want to hit on the Saints one more time. So 48-7, they beat the Eagles in the regular season. So do you feel like because they shut the Eagles down like that, that now the Eagles are going to say, well, look, we're the defending Super Bowl champions. We're not going to let you do that to us. We're going to come back, and we're going to come back on fire. Now, they don't have Carson Wentz. They have Nick Foles right now as starting quarterback. I think he is battling a little bit of a rib injury, but it hasn't really seemed like it's anything that's bothering him too much. Nick Foles, I think, is actually 9 of 10 when he's starting.
Right.
So, excuse me, guys, what is it going to take for the Eagles to win this game?
What it's going to take for the Eagles to win this game, they're going to have to take the crowd out of the game immediately. They're going to have to get out to a quick start. They're going to have to play good defense, which they do have a good defense with Fletcher Cox and Bennett, Michael Bennett playing on that line. They can put a lot of pressure on Drew Brees, and they've always had outstanding linebackers. And their corners are a little banged up at that position, but they can hang. That's defense against the Saints offense. The Saints, well, Nick Foles just adds a different dimension than Carson Wentz. I believe that he has better synergy with his head coach, Peterson, than Carson Wentz.
Doug Peterson's a Louisiana guy.
Yeah, so I believe that combination right there, they know each other, and with Darren Sproles having that element can give the Saints defense a little bit hard of a time because Darren didn't play in that game. And you know how he is. He can get out there and he can make linebackers miss. It's tough covering him one-on-one. So, like I say, it's going to be an interesting game for the Saints.
It will be, but let's hope that they are able to get that win because they just need 2 more wins. They need to get this divisional win, then they need to get the NFC Championship in order to go to the Super Bowl, and we all want to see a Saints Super Bowl. Look, guys, we do have to take a quick break. We are here at Scoreboards 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come out and see us. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach? Mm-hmm. Told you.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I programmed the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
All right, guys, welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I'm your host, Kate Adams. We have Carl Wilson, former LSU player, also All-American for LSU, former NFL player, also co-host of 9 Sports Extra on Channel 9 with Steve Schneider and Rohan Davies. So thank you again, Carl, for coming in. You've been so great, so really appreciate having you. All right, we're kind of running out of time, so I want to try to hit these playoff games.
Okay.
One of the games you mentioned just a little while ago, Indianapolis Colts at Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. A lot of people, a lot of Chiefs fans, I think, are saying, we want to play anybody in the playoffs but the Colts,
Yeah.
right? Why is that?
Well, the Colts are a hot team right now. They started out the season, I think they were 1-5, and they came back and just ran off a whole lot of games in a row. And I think they're the 3rd team in NFL history to start off 1-5 and make it to the playoffs. So Andrew Luck is playing lights out. He's hooking up with T.Y. Hilton a lot, and you have that running back, Marlon Mack, is playing well. Their defense is playing well. So they're gonna create some problems for Kansas City. Kansas City can score. Believe me, they can score. They have two receivers, Hill and Kalsisa. I'm
Look,
destroying
if
his
you butcher a
name.
name, it's not a problem.
I'm butchering his name. His first name is Travis.
Yeah, that's all you have to know. Kelsey? Yeah.
Kelsey, yeah, Kelsey, yeah, Kelsey. And but both of those guys, they caught for over 1,300 yards this year. They had 10 touchdowns apiece, and they've just been doing outstanding. And you have Patrick Mahomes. He could be the MVP of the league. He's throwing the ball all over the place. I mean, he's outstanding. They even had one where he threw a no-look pass. I'd never seen that before in my life. But they're going to put some points on the board. The only problem for Kansas City, their defense is not very good. So I'm a defensive player, and I'll just tell you right now, when I look at a game, if I see the defense is really good, I'll take defense over offense any time of the day. So I got to go with the Indianapolis Colts in this game.
Look, I don't blame you for that. You are a defense guy, but having a great defense, you can't. I mean, if you have a great defense, you're able to stop the play, and that's what they need. Look, the Chiefs have the NFL's second worst passing defense in the league right now. So look, I get it. Another thing, a lot of people say about the Chiefs, Andy Reid, when it comes to the playoffs, they say he kind of takes his logic and he just tosses it out the window. His clock management, just maybe his critical thinking skills. It's like he's not using any of them. Do you agree with that?
You know what? I don't agree with it. I'll just tell you right now, Andy Reid's a great coach. He's been there before. He was with that Green Bay, so I just think that Andy Reid, and he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? I think he was. So, but I just think, you know, you get in games and you have to make certain decisions, and if your decisions you make turn out to be wrong, then people criticize you. But if they turn out to be right, you're the best coach on the planet. So, but Andy Reid's been there before. He gets his teams prepared for the game. And I think Kansas City is going to be prepared for the game. However, again, it goes back to the defense. Andrew Luck is going to shred that defense. And Indianapolis, all they have to do is hold Kansas City down a little bit, and they should win that game.
So you're taking the Colts, right?
I'm taking the Colts, even though Arrowhead Stadium is a really a tough place to play. They are really noisy there.
Look, I can only imagine. All right, I want to switch gears to a team that you played for, but actually now the Los Angeles Chargers.
The Los Angeles Chargers.
Weird saying that. I wish they would have stayed in San Diego personally. But so we've got the LA Chargers at the New England Patriots, which we all know New England has been in a million Super Bowls. They've got Tom Brady. They've got Belichick.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
That's all you need.
That's all you need, right? Is Brady and Belichick.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say this. I believe that they had an outstanding year. Tom Brady is a good quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback. Belichick, Hall of Fame coach. But this year, they're vulnerable. Gronkowski, he's having a so-so year. You know, the receiving core is suspect. Their defense is okay. I believe they're right to get beat by the Chargers. The Chargers have an outstanding defense. They're led by Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa. They're two outstanding players, could put pressure on the quarterback. Then you have Phillip Rivers. If it wasn't for Tom Brady and Drew Brees, I'm going to tell you right now, Phillip Rivers will be right up there because he has done it for years. He's just hadn't had the teams that those guys have had. And I'm excited for him because this year I believe he does have the team that's going to help him get to maybe the Super Bowl. So I'm excited for the Chargers.
Now, talking about Phillip Rivers, when you were with the Chargers, who was your quarterback? It wasn't Rivers or Brees,
Now,
right?
my first year with the Chargers, and he played a long time. I'm going to preference that, but Dan Fouts.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking is because how incredible would it be if the Saints make it all the way to the Super Bowl, and then the Chargers make it all the way to the Super Bowl, and it's Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees after everything that those guys have been through. I mean, wouldn't that be insane?
That would be incredible, and I think both guys have a lot of respect for one another. Drew still has a house in San Diego. He goes back there all the time. I'm sure he hooks up with Phillip. So I believe that would be a great game, and I wouldn't pull for any team. I would be neutral that game.
So when you're watching NFL games, who are you pulling for? Because I know you played for a few different teams. So are you pulling for the Chargers, or are you pulling for all the teams you played for? Do you have a certain team?
No, I don't have a certain particular team. But I'll tell you right now, I do watch the Saints. Since I live in Louisiana, I watch the Saints a little bit more. They do have the Cowboys.
Cowboys. You and I agree, because I was calling them they're the Cowgirls.
Okay,
it's okay.
all right.
It's okay. We're going to refer to them as the Cowgirls, especially after earlier this season.
Yeah, but I tend to watch them, not the whole game, but I just like to see them lose.
Me too.
Yeah.
We both have that in common. Well, the Cowboys, they're going to play the Rams.
Yes.
I want to know who you have in that game and why.
Okay, I'm going to take the Rams because the Rams are playing at home. They're the #1 team. Well, they have a home field advantage there. They have a good defense. No one can stop Donald. That defense is great. Even though the Rams have, not the Rams, but the Cowgirls have a great defense too. But I believe that the Rams have the more complete team. If the Rams are able to stop Ezekiel Elliott, they're going to win that game. But if they can't stop Ezekiel Elliott, then it's going to give Dak Prescott an opportunity to do some play-action passes and get Amari Cooper in the game. Because Amari Cooper has helped that team out tremendously.
And that's actually what I was about to say, and then you beat me to the punch. Amari Cooper has, ever since the middle of the season when they acquired him, he's already had 725 yards on the season and 53 receptions in just 9 games.
Yes.
Just 9 games, which is incredible.
And that's because Dallas has gotten that running game together, and Dak Prescott has been able to do a lot of play-action passes. That's why it's really, really important that the Los Angeles Rams stop Dak Prescott, but Ezekiel Elliott. Stop that run game. If you stop the run game, you stop Dallas.
Well, I hope that, actually, I'm going to root for the Rams in this one. I think that they have it in the bag. I'm tired of seeing the Cowgirls play just kind of like you are. So I think that they have it in the bag. And look, let's all hope that the Saints get the win this weekend. We will see what happens. Guys, our time is up, unfortunately, for Sports Update with Kate. But look, check out the show on YouTube. Just go to YouTube. Go to Sports Update with Kate. You can find every single episode on there. I want to thank Carl. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to say thank you to my producer, Caleb St. Germain. Thank you, Alan Traylor. Thank you, Marty Campbell. Thanks to everyone. Make sure to come here to Scoreboards to check it out. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
All right.